All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the modern web. We're breaking down the core technologies that take a simple, static page and turn it into the dynamic, interactive experience that you and I use every single day. You know that feeling, right? You're signing up for something new, you type in the perfect username, and boom, before you even hit enter, the site tells you it's already taken. That's not magic. It's this beautifully orchestrated dance of technologies happening behind the scenes. And in this explainer, we're going to show you the exact steps of that dance. But to really appreciate just how cool the dynamic web is, we've got to go back. I mean, way back to its origins, when the internet was a much, much simpler place. Yeah, believe it or not, the web wasn't dreamed up for social media or online shopping. It was born to solve a very real, very specific problem. Scientists at CERN were generating just staggering amounts of data, and they needed an easy way to share it with their colleagues all over the world. So to solve this, a brilliant guy at CERN named Tim Berners-Lee created HTML. The easiest way to think of it is like the skeleton of a web page. It's the language that gives everything its structure, telling the browser, hey, this is a headline, this is a paragraph, and put that image right here. But a skeleton isn't much good if it can't go anywhere. So he also developed HTTP. This is the language that lets your web browser talk to a web server. It's basically the protocol that lets your browser say, hey, can I see that page? And lets the server send it back. It's the handshake that kicks off every single thing we do online. And I mean, this whole system was absolutely revolutionary. All of a sudden, information was connected and accessible like never before. But it really didn't take long for people to realize that just reading information, well, it wasn't enough. Something big was missing. This quote just sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? The early web was totally a one-way street. It was like a giant digital library where you could look stuff up, but you couldn't really do anything. There was no real conversation, no personalization, and definitely no real-time interaction. And this comparison just nails the massive leap we needed to make. On the left, you've got the static web. Think of it like a printed brochure. It's the same for everybody. On the right, you have the dynamic web, which is more like a conversation. It's interactive, it's personalized. So the big question is, how did we make that jump? Well, it took a whole new set of tools, a dynamic toolkit that would learn to work together to bring websites to life. First up is PHP. I like to think of this as the brains of the operation, working behind the scenes. It runs on the web server itself and does all the heavy lifting, like grabbing the latest news or checking if you're logged in, all to build a custom HTML page just for you before it even gets sent over. But where does PHP get all that information? Well, it pulls it from MySQL, which is basically the web's digital filing cabinet. MySQL is this incredibly fast and powerful database that stores, everything, from usernames and passwords to all the products in a store. So while PHP is working its magic on the server, JavaScript is the magician performing right there inside your browser. It's the reason image carousels spin, why drop-down menus appear, and, as we're about to see, it's how you can update parts of a page without ever doing a full refresh. And of course, you've got to make it all look good, right? That's where CSS comes in. If HTML is the skeleton, CSS is the skin, the clothes, the style. It controls all the colors, fonts, spacing, and even really complex animations. It's what makes the web beautiful. And finally, the very foundation itself, HTML, got this massive upgrade called HTML5. This was a total game changer. It added built-in support for audio and video, a canvas for drawing graphics, and even let web apps work offline. Okay, so we have these 5 powerful tools. But honestly, the real magic, the symphony, happens when they all start working together. Let's follow a single web request to see how they pull it off. Back in the old static days, the process was super simple. Your browser would ask a server for a file, maybe index.html. The server would find that file on its hard drive and just send it straight back. A simple game of fetch, really. But now, look at how this all changes for a dynamic request. This is what's so cool. The server doesn't just grab a pre-made file anymore. No. Instead, it passes that request to a PHP processor. That processor then talks to the MySQL database to get, say, your user info or the latest posts, and then it actually builds the HTML page from scratch just for you before sending it back. Okay, let's circle all the way back to that first question, the instant username check. This is possible because of a process called AJAX, and it's the perfect example of this whole dynamic symphony in action. It's what makes web apps feel so snappy.
almost like desktop software.
So let's just walk through this. The moment you type a username and click into the next box, JavaScript quietly sends that name, just the name, to a PHP script on the server. That script then asks the MySQL database, "Hey, is this name already in here?" The database answers, and that answer zips all the way back to the JavaScript in your browser, which then updates that tiny little piece of the page with a message. And the key here, the whole point, is that this happens in milliseconds, without ever reloading the entire page.
So when you really understand how all these pieces, PHP, MySQL, JavaScript, CSS, and HTML5, all talk to each other, you basically have the keys to the kingdom. You have the fundamental toolkit to build just about any web experience you can dream up.
And seriously, that is not an exaggeration. This combination of technologies is precisely what's running under the hood of the biggest and most complex applications on the web today. It's truly the bedrock of the modern internet.
And there you have it, our deep dive into the architecture of the dynamic web. We've seen how it grew from a simple research tool into this incredible platform for rich, interactive applications. And it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. With these powerful tools at our fingertips and new ones showing up all the time, what comes next?